I don't have an intro yet.
Another year gone, another year closer to death, thank God. I might be late to the party, but unlike my actual New Year's party, I'm not gonna spend this one throwing up in the shower and crying. So he's not on the list, by the way. He's not even in the honorable mentions, but I think he gets overhated. Yeah, I like him.
10?
When I was just a little baby gay, one of my favorite books was this one, Rick Alvarez's Unofficial Guide to the Transformers, 1980s through 90s. And by the time I was reading it, there was no easy way for a little 5-year-old me to acquire any of these toys. And obviously all of the prices listed are completely out of date. For a Unicron trilogy kid like me, it was like being in a museum, all of these cool, weird relics from the past to look over, and some of my favorite figures to drool over and then get my face stuck to the page when I fell asleep drooling on the book were the Micromasters. It's Transformers, but small. Like, what else do you need? When I first read it, I was a sweet summer child, so I didn't know why Erector's name was funny. But now I'm a big girl with a huge IQ and a massive... Buying Erector has been like fulfilling a massive childhood dream of mine. Got a dinky little crane, a silly little red face, and a cool little turret mode. He's actually not even my first director. I got this guy at a TF con. All I need is the X-Transbot Shafter, and then I'll have all the Erector figures. Maybe then my life will be complete. I think it'll be easier to ignore all my problems when I can look at his massive...
9!
So up until now, basically the only original Beast Wars figures I've had are the basics ones, like these. And I can't really complain. Like, they're fine, they're fun, they're basically on par with modern core class. But I think one of the things I really missed out on were the gimmicks. So when I heard that Megatron and Primal were showing up in Ross, I hunted like a mad woman for weeks. They're okay. I'm glad to have them in my collection. None of their gimmicks really feel very good though. I think hyping them up for as long as I did probably made me like them less. But before I found either of them, on one of the Ross trips, I found a Scorponok in a beaten up box. I never really had all that much interest in him. My credit card was almost maxed out and I was a week away from payday. But lack of impulse control, and here we are. His gimmicks are like actually kind of scary. Got his little bug hand friend. Oh my god. Unlike Megatron and Primal, his springs feel new. The other two kind of feel like they were just found in the back of a warehouse somewhere and that they've been sitting there aging since the 90s. As you can tell right now, these springs are so strong that I'm struggling to even get it back on. Yeah, that's honestly the only complaint I have. Oh, never mind. No complaints. If I'm ever burgled and, the burglar comes into my room to try and steal my possessions, the first thing I'm doing is kissing them on the lips. But the second thing will be, I love the alternate face. Like, that's such a cool gimmick. I wish we'd get that on even more modern figures. I think the last one we got it on was little boner boy here. I'd say he's honestly worth like 25 to 30 bucks, but I got him for 13, so steal.
Is number 8 is bacon, egg, and cheese.
Trash Master, more like Heart Master, because he is the master of my heart. He's definitely my favorite Junkion, and that's saying something. Competition's looking pretty stiff over here. I just really love the way he feels. So nice and chunky and square. He's like all my favorite parts of Minecraft. The accessories are kind of goofy, but I think they're pretty versatile. I love the trash truck mode. It's filled out so nicely and it rolls pretty well. It's got a mouth on the back like any good trash truck. There's the whole Junkosaurus thing, but you could honestly get a pretty good little junky dino just by himself, which I would show you if I wasn't so hungover. He's a big chunky boy, and I love big chunky boys.
Number 7?
Originally, I wasn't going to get any of the Rise of the Beast toys. Then I saw reviews for Cheetor, and everyone was singing his praises from the rooftop. And yeah, for once, hype on a figure didn't ruin it for me. There's honestly not a lot to say about him. He has all the articulation you could ask for in a modern figure. His paint apps are really crisp. Transformation is quick and simple. His little mouth opens and closes. I just like him. I liked him enough even to buy all his friends, and then every other version of all his friends, and then a whole bunch of monkeys. Like, too many monkeys. Like, I don't need this many monkeys.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I regretted missing out on him so bad. I pre-ordered all of Wave 1 of the Gamer Edition boys, and then looked closer at Barricade, and I kind of let that opinion cloud how I felt about the rest of them. And in a refreshing change of pace, I impulse canceled a bunch of pre-orders instead of impulse ordering more things that I didn't need to buy. And then he went out of stock, and then his price doubled in the aftermarket, and then he wasn't in any stores. So I sat there feeling like an absolute chump, listening to everyone else review him and say how amazing he was. And then I found him in Walmart. And that's the story of How I Met Your Mother. Sorry, mommy. Sorry, mommy. Sorry. But I mean, if Dami Mami was a robot, it would be him. He's huge and thick and swole, just how I like all my boy toys. Transformation is super engaging, and it's like just complex enough to engage all 3 of my brain cells. This thing is so awesome that I'm pretty confident it sucked the budget out of the rest of the line all into itself. I have Cliff Jumper. I don't hate Cliff Jumper. This is a no Cliff Jumper slander zone, but Megatron isn't great. The only reason I bought him was so that Optimus would have someone to face off against, and it's really not a fair fight. Prime here punches down on this Megatron harder than I punched down on that kindergartner at Applebee's last week.
Number 5.
As a Unicron Trilogy fan, it's been nice getting some repaints. It's been pretty cool getting some original molds. We got some mid figures. But it is so nice to get a really, really, really good figure. There's really not even much I have to say about Armada Optimus, honestly. He's topped so many end-of-year lists that I probably don't have anything original to say, except that I don't think the base mode is very good. And that's not just me being a little nostalgia baby. I think the original looked better. But yeah, it's a small complaint in the grand scheme of things because, I mean, look at him. You know he's good. You know he's good. You know he's better than a lot of the figures that I am about to talk about, so...
My face when I have a bad opinion.
So objectively, looking at the facts and logic of the situation, this placement is wrong. This figure is not better than Optimus. You might say that the figure is worse because that is the opposite of it being better, which, as I mentioned before, it's not. But it's my list. You can make your own, you twink. I never had an Armada Megatron, so this one kind of is filling a hole somewhere in my body. I've always loved this design for Megatron. It feels very violent and brutal and kind of like a deer a little bit. Yes, the shoulder articulation is limited. No, he does not have any of the cool gimmicks that made the original so amazing. Yes, my tummy hurts. Thank you for asking. But when it comes down to it, I am a simple woman with simple taste. I like simple Transformers with satisfying transformations and a fun alt mode and a fun robot mode, and this Megatron ticks every single one of those boxes for me. This figure rocks, and I love him, and that's that. There's nothing that sets me up for disappointment more than overhyping a figure. And no, it's not because I'm a natural-born contrarian dad, but after hearing for so long that this Tarn is one of the best figures in years, I could only really be disappointed. He's fine. He's fine. He's good. He's fine. I think the color's a little dull. I think he's a little too lanky for Tarn. I don't know. It doesn't really work for me. But on Bludgeon, oh my god. I think the proportions work way better for somebody who uses a sword. His colors are absolutely incredible. His Halloween mask head sculpt is great. The tank mode is fine, but the transformation is fun, so it's really more of a journey than a destination kind of situation. This mold is as good as everyone says it is, but I think for me personally, I just needed it to be in brighter colors with a more obscure character.
Ring, 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 ring.
I think it's safe to say this year has been the year of the monkey for me. A whole bunch of monkeys, like too many monkeys. Like, I don't need this, but the one who stands above them all, literally, I mean, look how big he is the big Beast Awakening one. I like modern leaders, okay? If a figure is smaller, but with more love put into it, then I'm happy to pay the higher price for it. But he feels like a leader. Ratcheted hips are crazy, and knees, oh my god. He's got that premium single pointing finger. And he has so many gimmicks built in. I love spring-loaded things. Look at his lips. Look at them. Transformation is fun. It pulls a lot of the same tricks as the Kingdom mold, but it feels much better because of all the clicky ratchets. My only regret is not buying the version that would have come with Flaming Cheetor, because now I'd have to pay $35 for it on eBay, and I don't want to spend $35 on a tiny clear plastic furry, but I will. Also, the price is crazy. The fact that this is only like $5 more expensive than a regular leader class figure, like, best bang for your buck, for sure. It's still in stock in places. Buy it. Buy it now. Buy it yesterday. Buy it 2 weeks ago. Buy it before I come to your house.
Losers bracket.
This thing is unbelievable, honestly, for the price. Solid ratchets. I'm pretty sure there's diecast in here somewhere. An incredibly wide and dynamic range of posability. And you can pick from 3 different delicious flavors. If you've never gotten a third-party figure before, this would be a good place to start because it's not terribly cost prohibitive. It's pretty small, and it'll fit into pretty much any collection. The only thing I don't like is one step in the transformation, and if you have it, you know which one I'm talking about. It doesn't feel like it's gonna break, but it doesn't feel good to do either. So, unfortunately, he does not make the list. Very sad to not have them on my top 10. I adore the character with my whole heart, and it's so cool to have an owl transformer, but after having them for a couple of months, the joints don't seem to be holding up too well. The knees are super loose, and the ankles keep collapsing in on themselves a little. Please go out and buy one. It would be nice to get more Transrep and Transformers. I considered putting this in my top 10, but with the Awakening version at number 2, it kind of felt redundant. They are effectively the same figure at different scales. The frustrating thing is that there are some things this one does better just a little bit. Like, I think the chest transformation is a lot more interesting on this one. Like, that's cool. And the feet actually hide away here in the calf instead of just sitting out on the back. Any other year, he would have easily cleared the top 5 list. But you know what they say? Sometimes a banana in the bundle is only worth one spot in the honorable mentions list in
Number 1.
Yeah, maybe it's the obvious choice, but look at him. Oh my god. They gave him a throne for a reason. He is pretty much perfect. There were a lot of moments opening him that made me giggle like a little schoolgirl, but the one that got me the most was how nicely everything packs away. This is just great engineering. Transformation feels great and clicky and wonderful, and he is a giant space chicken with a giant space cannon. What more can you ask for? Peak. He is peak. And I am so glad I backed him instead of having to pay aftermarket like I did for Starsaber, who I am still waiting for, by the way. So yeah, these are all my favorites. Tell me if you agree, if you disagree. Tell me why you disagree, and I'll go sit in my closet and cry until all the liquid in my body dries out, and I am nothing but bone dust and flesh jerky. Happy 2024!